This is Muskegon Rising, a service of the Muskegon Rotary Club.
Since 1916, our purpose has been to create lasting positive change.
We shine a light on the people and ideas shaping our community's economic growth, education, and workforce.
In every episode, we dig into the stories of opportunity, innovation, and success.
This is where learning meets local growth.
Hello, I'm your host, Aaron Maike, and welcome to Muskegon Rising. Today I'm here with Trevor Friedeberg, the CEO of Greater Muskegon Economic Development, also known as GMED. Welcome, Trevor.
It's great to be here, Aaron. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, welcome to Muskegon. You've been in town how many months now?
3 months, I think.
Awesome.
Just over 3 months. So I'm a veteran at this point.
Absolutely. Fully immersed.
Yeah,
and you're
absolutely.
buying a house not far from where we're recording.
It's less than a quarter mile away. So it's terrific driving down the road that I'm going to be driving down every day.
I love it. So reflecting on some milestones with GMED, over $821 million in capital investments, $2 million in community grants. How do you think those achievements resonate with GMED and how they're perceived in you personally and professionally?
Yeah, it's incredible to see this level of investment happening in Muskegon County. So it really is a testament to everyone in the county that is working to make these things happen. Because I'll say this once and I'll probably say it several times as we talk, economic development does not happen in a bubble. It's very much a team sport, and it really is truly a testament to the community and everyone having a growth mindset, working together to make true catalytic investments like this happen.
And you've got a strong board that helps and understands and invests in economic development in our community. GMED recently helped Muskegon Heights with an industrial park master plan. Talk a little bit about that, and how do you see that type of work revitalizing our cities?
Yeah, so it's critical to have a plan. If you don't have a plan, you can't have the vision, and being able to offer some support to make sure that we have those pieces in place, it helps things become more clear. It makes it a tool that can attract additional resources, and you can continue to build on the momentum. Some people say, how do you eat an elephant? It's one bite at a time. So the more we can put things into place and keep things moving, the more we can start to grow that momentum and see that positive change happening in our communities.
Absolutely. People in this community, I've lived in Metro Detroit. Anytime Muskegon is here, when I was in Detroit, whenever it said Detroit, people assumed it was just the city of Detroit. You have investment. Montague Master Tag announces a huge 95,000 square foot building. Norton Shores roll-ons, 147,000 square feet. You're doing work not just in Muskegon City, but Muskegon County. How do you take these projects and kind of decide where they go?
Yeah, that's a really good question and a point that I want to make too is that GMED, Greater Muskegon Economic Development, we're not just the city, we're not just, Norton Shores or Eggleston Township or Laketon Township. We really do try to cover the entire county. And when we're looking at these projects, I think sometimes there's a misnomer that we're putting the projects somewhere. A lot of the times the projects, we'll maybe find the project, but there's a good site for them that hits all the criteria that they're looking for. So when we're doing our work, when we're out there, we're trying to find what's the best fit for this company so that the county overall sees more growth. Whether it be in Montague or Norton Shores or any of these other communities, we want to see it spread out as much as possible, but we also want it to be a good fit for the community and company.
So you mentioned bubble a little bit earlier and operating in a bubble. Sometimes people feel like economic development is a secret. These secrets and you won't tell anybody. In fact, that's not your organization as much as it's the searching companies in many cases. So is there a secret sauce to that when you can make those announcements, or how does that happen?
That's an excellent question. So my role and what I've tried to do my entire career in economic development is demystify, right? I want people to understand what the process is, but then I want people to actually also understand and respect that sometimes there is confidentiality that is involved in projects. Sometimes if a company is looking to relocate, let's say they're going to move all their operations from New York, right? If word got out that they were coming to Muskegon before they made the official announcement, there could be lawsuits. liability with the company. There could be pandemonium at the company. They could stop production. They could go on strike. There's a whole multitude of things that could happen. So a lot of times we are under NDAs, so we're not actually allowed legally to talk about some of the things that we're working on. It's not every day, it's not every project, but we do want to have respect for the process, because when we get to a point where we're doing incentives and being able to secure them, there's often a process as well, especially when working with our partners and friends at the state, where they need to go through their announcement process, and we need to maintain what's called the but-for clause, right? Like they wouldn't do the project but for the incentives that are being provided. So if we came out and said, hey, the project's coming here, before the incentives are there, we could have just shot ourselves in the foot. And I've actually experienced personally projects not moving forward because the public got wind of it. So it's critical that sometimes we maintain that confidentiality, but I'm an open book. Talk to me about stuff. If I'm allowed to talk about it and able to, I'll absolutely tell you what's going on, and I'll demystify the process as much as possible.
And the other thing, when I did my research, and of course, we've worked together on a couple things, your board is made up of community members. So people also are aware, and they're making decisions for the betterment of our community. It just is that group is the only people that can know at that time, right?
Exactly. It's a good group too. I love those guys.
Great board.
Yes.
So probably one of the most exciting projects I've seen from GMED in my time in Muskegon, and it was right before you came, it kind of came to finalization, is the sewer line expansion. And that just is such a collaborative effort, and it shows how so many different governments can work together. If you could talk just a little bit about that and its impact on Muskegon, but also Fairlife and Coopersville and Ottawa County.
Yeah, that's a good one, and I couldn't agree with you more. It's in my opinion, the most impactful project that we have currently in the pipeline, I guess, pun intended, on that one, if I may. But this is a project that, believe it or not, when I was at the MEDC in my past life, this was probably 2016, 2017 that this project first came up. So it's been that long that it's been being discussed at all levels of government. How do we figure this out? How can we make this happen? Because it not only allows for expansion at let's say Fairlife in Coopersville, but any of the companies along the way, like Swanson Pickle, for example, and future businesses as well that might want to plug into that. Sometimes the biggest constraint for food processing companies is that wastewater capacity and waste capacity. And being able to tap into a pipeline like that and having that resource, it immediately removes a barrier. So I'm deeply interested in seeing that completed and seeing what we can do as far as developing new strategies around how do we leverage that asset, because it is truly an asset. And even though we work very closely with our friends in Ottawa County, with Jen Owens, I'm actually going to be meeting with Jennifer tomorrow, and Randy Thalen at the right place as well. But we work very closely with them. I think Muskegon actually stands to benefit the most, because most of that 20-mile pipeline is going to be here in Muskegon County.
Absolutely. So can you highlight some of GMED's involvement in projects that catalyze job creation? Because at the end of the day, this is about job creation. It's about making our community stronger and really revitalizing what Muskegon has become, right? We were at the top. We've had a couple of people would say lower times. I don't understand that. I love where we live, but it's about making it better. How do you see that with GMED?
Yeah, and on a personal note, just coming into Muskegon, born and raised in Michigan, went down to Indiana for a few years. Don't hold it against me, but I'm absolutely in awe of everything and all the assets that we have, the restaurants, the outdoor recreation, the amenities that exist, the economic development side, as I mentioned, the wastewater, the water capacity, the electrical. We have all the ingredients, and it really is truly incredible to see a place that has literally everything that we would need. And these projects that we have are, they're instrumental in making sure that we're continuing to grow the county. There's a lot of adaptive reuse. There's a lot of brownfield cleanup and things that we've been part of in the past. We've been doing some work in the industrial park in Muskegon Heights that you kind of mentioned earlier, and being able to see these sites that aren't working anymore, are maybe vacant, aren't doing what they needed to do, and finding new uses for them. I mean, that's truly looking at the community, finding different ways to plug that in and think about smart, sustainable growth for the future. So that's something that we're deeply committed to and something we're going to continue to focus on.
I love it. We need to continue to build that brand of Muskegon. I think residents have far too often been really hard on ourselves, and it's such not just a great place to live, but awesome places to work, and what a place to raise a family and get a great education. Talk a little bit about your experience. I mean, you've worked at the state, you've worked out of state, and where do you see economic development and building an inclusive, vibrant community?
Yeah, and kind of going back to my last answer too, it's being smart, being intentional. Looking at places where maybe there's been disinvestment and trying to find ways to reinvent those sites, to remarket them, to find new industries to bring into the county. I mean, there's a lot of exciting and growing industries right now, and food processing, that's a big one. That's something that I think is going to be a real strength for Muskegon and really the whole west side of the state. And I mean, even thinking beyond some of the companies that we already have existing, what else can we bring in? And do they have enough tonnage to be able to ship it out through the port, right? So like trying to connect all the dots, what makes sense here? How do we make sure that we're focusing on continued sustainable growth? And in doing that and in finding these companies that want to invest, are good matches for our communities in the county, that's when we can start to be able to have, jobs for all, raise up the community. A rising tide lifts all boats, as they say, and just continue to focus on it and continue to grow.
Absolutely. Well, you brought up new projects. So is there anything, I know we mentioned NDAs, non-disclosure agreements earlier, is there anything in the pipeline that you can talk about right now that's on the forefront for economic development?
There's a lot of exciting things happening right now, Aaron. There is one, I mean, it is... It has gone to the initial council meeting. So Motive Bowling, Wilbur Products out of Roosevelt Park, they're going to be expanding, which is terrific. And they're looking at the facility, the former Michigan Spring facility, which is very exciting to say because, of course, as we all know in this room, they recently kind of spooled down their operations. So again, it's really nice to see an existing company looking to expand and take on some of that space where maybe there has been some disinvestment, and being able to supplement that and even grow larger than what we lost. So there's some really good opportunities out there. There's also some other very exciting projects that I just can't talk about quite yet, and that's just how it is.
That's the answer I expected, but I got one out of you, and that's awesome. I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course.
So obviously, every time these announcements are made, there's a worker shortage, there's a housing shortage, and the state strategic fund said something along the lines of approving 1,220 homes. How does GMED get involved in that and try to promote people to build housing in Muskegon County so we have enough doors?
Yeah, and that's something that if you would have asked me 4 years ago, is housing economic development, I would have said, no, we focus on its business retention and expansion and attraction, right? And that's kind of the core and how it has been for years. But housing very much is economic development, because how do you grow a community? You need more people in it. How do you have more people in your community? You need more doors, as you said. So we're looking at some creative ways to be able to support development and housing development. There are tools, albeit limited number of tools that we have in the state of Michigan to be able to support these types of developments, but we are actively working on addressing that and making sure we do have those tools available in the county. Muskegon is actually kind of at the forefront of this right now, in that we have a housing coordinator looking at not just the city or different areas, but really everywhere in the county, making sure that we have an appropriate mix in order to be able to support the growing needs and demands of current and future residents. So working very closely with the housing coordinator, getting some tools in place and showing developers the sites that we have, and really trying to marry it up too. Another service we have at GMED is our site property map. So people can come in and say, hey, I'm looking at making a development, or if it's a company, I'm looking to see what, available infrastructure is out there. They can see all the properties that are available currently. And, we help market those and make sure that there's a plan in place and that we can, again, help remove barriers as much as possible to induce that growth.
That's amazing. GMED's been around since 1999. I know you've not been there since 1999, but really, if you look back at the different projects, what would you say is one of the most transformative projects that GMED has taken on in its history? And how did that help really guide and define its mission and impact?
Yeah, and you mentioned it earlier, that Force Main project is catalytic for several regions. Reasons. It shows how an organization like GMED is not just countywide, but we actually transcend the county. We work with our partners, we work with our regional partners at the right place, work very closely with the state, and we can bring everyone together in order to have a very strong impact. Now, yes, it's maybe not the most glamorous, project. It's burying 30-inch tubes in the ground when it comes down to it. Now, there's a lot more that goes into it, but something like that, the impact that it has, and as we mentioned before, the economic development and economic impact that it'll have, it's estimated that private investment will exceed $187 million and 145 new jobs will be created just from that pipeline. And I think it's, with a little bit of focus and strategy around it, it could be multitudes more than that moving forward.
That's truly amazing, just from a pipe being buried in the ground, right? Right. I think Cytiva that project started before you, but it's coming to a close. They're going to start operations up soon. Mm-hmm. And what a great company to have here, reusing an old site. Mm-hmm. They put a lot of money into that, and really from a different country, right? From Sweden. So how does that work, bringing in international companies in a multi-million-dollar project?
Yeah, so Cytiva, that's another project where it's really Muskegon, planting its flag, saying we're here, we're playing in this space. And you're absolutely right. That was a reuse of the old BASF facility, from my understanding. Mm-hmm. And again, one of those reuse, building, it's not doing what it was doing. We got something that, no offense to any of the BASF folks, but something that's better, right? And it's something that's forward-looking, biotechnology. What they make at Cytiva is too complicated for me to explain, but what they do saves lives every day. So they make some of the components and molecules that go into some of the what's the word I'm looking for?
They go into our pills, right?
Into our pills, into our shots, and into everything. So it's some of the coatings that they put in.
I'm not smart enough to know what they do either. It's high-tech stuff.
It's amazing what they do. Yeah. At the end of the day, this is going to end up being a $430 million investment, over 200 jobs being created, and really in a space that is something that I think a lot of communities aspire to have, a company like this and work in this space, and we're doing it. And I think that a project like this, the international investment, it shows that there's more investment potential as well. So it's the type of project, it's like the gift that keeps giving, right? We can use this as an example and continue to help them build out their supply chain and bring in additional suppliers as they need to continue their growth here in the county.
Absolutely. As they finish up and wrap up their construction, there's going to be more spin-offs coming. So Trevor Friedeberg, CEO of Greater Muskegon Economic Development, if there was one message you could deliver to Muskegon County about economic development, what would that be?
Yeah, I just want everyone to know that we're here to help businesses and communities thrive. We may not be the only call you make when you're looking to grow, but we want to be the first call that you make. And if we don't have the resources, we'll definitely connect you with the right people and we'll put you on the right path.
Trevor, thanks so much for coming on. I know we've covered a lot of topics, but is there anything that you'd like to let our listeners or viewers hear before we close up?
Just thank you, Aaron, for sitting down with me. I definitely super appreciate the opportunity to be here. And again, anyone that's looking to grow their business, please reach out anytime and let's catch the next wave together.
That's awesome. Trevor, thanks so much. Welcome to Muskegon. Love having you in town, and I look forward to seeing some great work coming out of GMED. For more information on GMED, visit their website at developmuskegon.org. If you value local stories about growth and opportunity, subscribe to Muskegon Rising